Alright, I've almost recovered from Massive Unboxing 5. I think I can treat myself to a few more models. Maybe I can do a Massive Unboxing 6. Ah, rats! The first 747 ever made? You're mine now! Oof, okay. Let's see how my credit is doing. Dang it! Alright, that's enough for now. Where did that come from? That's not normal. There we go. Now, where was I? And for a second, I thought I would be free. What is it this time? Oh, it's the NASA T-38. Yes, I remember. It's done already? Shoot, time flies. No, I don't need it. No, no, I will not fold. Not this time. No! Dang it! Oh, I can't pass that up. You're mine! Where's that music coming from? Oh no. Ah! It's burning! How do I use this? It's not working! What do I do? Ah! What's up, airplane collectors? Welcome to Massive Unboxing 6. I'm your host Ray, and today I'll be unboxing a set of 23 models, joined by 2 special mentions and 4 accessory pieces. Even though this isn't the largest massive unboxing I've done on this channel, I can guarantee that this episode will be no less entertaining. That being said, sit back, relax, let's turn and burn. The first set of models came in from Jet Collector on April 10th. It includes 7 models, 3 1-400 scales, and 4 1-200 scales. Let's do the 1-400 scale models first. This one is the 1-400 scale United Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 10 from NG Model. I posted a review about this one a while back, and I did criticize it pretty harshly in some departments, but overall I still think it's a pretty decent model. Now, personally, what I would like to see is NG releasing the rest of the United Airlines Boeing 737 MAX family in the Evo Blue livery, meaning the Boeing 737 MAX 9 and 737 MAX 8. Because I already have the 737 NG models from NG, those being the 737-700, 800, and 900, all 3 of them in the new livery, and I would definitely like to have United's MAX family in the new livery as well. That would be pretty cool to have the entire 737 family from United. So hopefully NG starts doing that in the coming months. Next up is this big fella right here. This is a 1-400 scale Lufthansa Boeing 747-8, and this is one of the first models that NG has released on their new 1-400 scale 747-8 mold. And I think it's a pretty alright model. I posted a review about this one as well, and I don't remember there being too many issues with it. One issue that a lot of collectors were complaining about was the cockpit windows. A lot of them were saying that the cockpit windows were too big. Personally, I don't think they're terrible, but I can't help but agree they are a little big. Now, I really love this model. It's very highly detailed, and from what I remember, it has few imperfections from what I saw on the review. I did that review a few months ago, so my memory is a little bit hazy. One thing I really like about this model is the fan detail in the engines. That looks really cool. I've always been picky about fan detail in engines, but this model definitely does it right. We've got another 747, but this one comes in from Gemini Jets, and it's a fictional model of the new Air Force One. For those of you unaware, the United States has been planning for years to replace the current 747-200s that serve as the president's transport to wherever he needs to go. And the replacement is a 747-8. Now, this program has been delayed and delayed time and time again. And originally, this would have been the new Air Force One. It would have been a 747-8 painted in the old Air Force One livery. However, just recently, I do believe it was announced that this Air Force One livery will be no more, and it will be painted in a different Air Force One livery. So even though this model is a fantasy model that was meant to depict something that would eventually come to reality, it unfortunately, as of right now, never will. So that kind of sucks. Still though, I think this is quite a good model. It was pretty good in terms of quality, except for the fact that one of the engines was straight up detached. And when I say detached, I mean it wasn't even glued. There was no glue in the cavity where the engine went. So I was able to fix it pretty easily, but that speaks volumes on Gemini's assembly quality. That really was disheartening to see. Now let's look into the big boys, the 1 to 200 scale ones. This one is a Gemini 200 Delta CRJ 900. Now, it's not as infamous as its 1 to 400 scale counterpart, thankfully. It still is pretty rare in the diecast collecting community. Now, I haven't had much time to look at this one. I don't think I did a review on this one. Yeah, no, I definitely didn't. But this is a pretty decent model from what I've seen so far. It's been in storage for the most part because I'm actually holding this one right now. But it's still a pretty good model from the looks of it. The detail on it is quite impressive. The mold is a million times better than its 1 to 400 scale counterpart, but of course it's not without its imperfections. Mainly the fact that it's an old style cradle mold. Come on, Gemini, these cradle molds, they got out of date a while ago, so there's that. Oh, and in the reflection you can see some of the oily residue that they leave on the models. It's quite cool. But yeah, this one is a neat model in my opinion. It's not perfect, no model is perfect, but it still is pretty solid. The next model from this jet collector set is this infamous 1 to 200 scale Delta Airlines Boeing 757-200. Before I show it off to you guys, I need to do some minor assembly. Alright, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about why I call this model infamous. In the diecast collecting community, the Delta 757 is a highly sought after model because the Delta 757 in all liveries is a very popular aircraft. Now this one specifically is one of the most highly sought after because in 1 to 200 scale, it's only ever been released once by Gemini Jets, and those models nowadays are rotting away, quite literally. They are suffering from zinc rot and falling apart. So a lot of collectors were looking for an intact piece of that release, and lo and behold, Gemini Jets just decides to release it again, obviously a different registration. So that sent a lot of collectors into a frenzy. People wanted this model and they wanted it as soon as retailers got it on their shelves. And it sold out very quickly because, well, people wanted it that badly. And I was fortunate enough to get my hands on one. Now, as a lot of collectors feared and suspected, the quality on this one really wasn't great. And the reason I say that is there are multiple things that I can point out about this one that are, well, quality issues. I'm sure I found several other issues in the review I posted of this model a while back. If you want, you can go ahead and watch that. Now, of the ones I remember the most is some paint imperfections here on the fuselage. They're small, but they're big enough for me to not some spidering, but some chipping here in the white paint. So there's that. And then also on the right horizontal stabilizers, I did see some scratches here. And the model came like this. So it's just a testament to the quality that Gemini puts into these models. And it's a shame to see this because Gemini can do much better, and I've seen them do much better in recent releases with some of their models, but I guess on this one they just said, nah, let's just throw the quality in the basement. They'll still pay the absurd price we charge for it anyway. At least Gemini did the favor of releasing this model for us. The next 1 to 200 model for this set also requires a little bit of assembly, and also it's the first Airbus model in this unboxing. I forgot to mention this earlier, but this is actually a KJ Wings model. Now, KJ Wings is a very elusive manufacturer. They don't really follow a consistent release schedule like the other manufacturers do. By other manufacturers, I mean Gemini Jets, NG Model, JC Wings, Phoenix. Well, Phoenix isn't as consistent, but you get the idea. Now, this model in particular is rather special because it is actually a replica of the aircraft involved in the incident known as the Miracle on the Hudson. This is a replica of the US Airways Airbus A320 that the crew of Flight 1549 landed in the Hudson River after suffering a dual engine failure that was because of a bird strike. So, to say this model was significant is an understatement, and I'm very glad that I have it. KJ Wings, what they do is that they contact model manufacturers, and at the request of KJ Wings, these model manufacturers make the models that KJ Wings sells. Of course, KJ Wings pays these manufacturers to do this. In this case, KJ Wings used the in-flight 200 1:200 scale Airbus A320 mold to make this model. Even though I was quick to buy this one, I was also a little hesitant to buy it because on in-flight 200, the quality of their 1:200 scale A320 family models has not always been the best, and in recent times, it's dropped significantly. Case in point, the United Airlines Airbus A321neo that I got recently, that one was pretty questionable. So I was kind of paranoid about the quality on this one. And while this model isn't perfect, it's really good. I did a review on this one, and there was very little from what I remember that I could criticize. So I'm very thankful that KJ Wings invested in the quality control of these models. And to my knowledge, this was a very limited release. Only 100 or so of these were made, so I'm very fortunate and grateful to have this model in my collection, especially considering what it means. Now, where I can criticize and that I just want to talk about is the box art. There is a description of the incident involving US Airways Flight 1549, the Miracle on the Hudson, and this description is here on the back of the box. It could have been a lot better. There's a lot of grammar issues and typos. I don't remember exactly where they were, but there's a lot of cut off words and just typos here and there, which makes it really unprofessional in my opinion. Not offensive, but just unprofessional. I think it could have been done better. However, what I truly believe is the model in the box, that's what truly counts. And they definitely delivered on the model, so I won't really harp on this too much. The seventh and last model from this April Jet Collector set is this 1:200 scale banana. Wait a minute, this isn't what I'm talking about. There we go, that's more like it. Like I said, it's this 1:200 scale Spirit Airlines Airbus A321neo. This one comes in from Gemini Jets. So I've never been fond of the 1:200 scale Airbus A320 family mold from Gemini Jets because, well, the A321 in particular is a joke, to say the least. The nose shape looks more like a Tu-204, I think it was, a Tupolev plane rather than the actual A321neo. So, yeah, that's one gripe I have with this. And I also did a model airplane showdown of a different A321neo from Gemini Jets, and it was just awful in terms of the mold. The thing that saved it was the paint job, because it was up against an in-flight 200 A321neo, and that's what saved it. So I was also hesitant to buy this model, but Gemini is the only one releasing 1:200 scale Spirit Airlines models, so I just had to get it. And even though this model is far from perfect, I still like it. It's still a pretty decent model. And come on, you can't go wrong with a Spirit A321neo because it's got that really nice looking raccoon mask. I love how Spirit's been doing the raccoon masks on their new airplanes recently, and I seriously hope they continue this into the future because it looks amazing. So, with regards to the model itself, it's not perfect, but I still think it's pretty good, and also, this model in particular completed the 4 1:200 scale Spirit Airlines A320 family models in my collection, so I was very happy that I finally got this one. The next set of models are 2 models here, and I didn't actually get these from a retailer. Instead, I got them at the May Chicago Airline Collectibles Show held this year. The first model from this set is this 1:72 scale A10C Thunderbolt II, painted in the Indiana Air National Guard Centennial Scheme from 2021. This model requires way too much assembly, so I'm not going to film that and we'll cut straight to talking about the model. So here's the model. Now, this A10 is affectionately referred to as Black Snake or Black Mamba sometimes. I don't know the official nickname of it, though both of them fit the part because the nose here is painted like a snake. Now, normally I wouldn't get an A10, or this model in general. The reason I got it is because I got to see this specific aircraft in real life flying an aerial sequence at Purdue Aviation Day in April of 2024. And just seeing the A-10 do all these aerial maneuvers, as well as a dive attack, which was really cool, it was something else. It was seriously impressive, and I really wanted to get a model to commemorate that. And, well, I saw this at the Chicago Airline Collectibles Show, and I could not resist. So here this is. It's a pretty good model. It's from Hobbymaster, and I have it completely unarmed right now. I don't have any of the pylons on or any of the weapons on, because this model has way too many accessories for weapons than is good for the normal collection. There is so many. Here's what it looks like with all these weapons on, and I posted a review about this one, and that review was really hard to make because of all these weapon customizations and whatnot. But yeah, this thing is seriously impressive with the amount of accessories it has. And I think it's a solid model, but it is definitely far from perfect. The reason I complain about it a little bit is the color of the lighter gray here. You can see it kind of has a green hue to it. It should not. This hue should be more blue, if anything. Something else that really messed with me that I also pointed out in my review was the fan blades here. They're painted silver. On the real aircraft, they've never been painted silver. They've always been painted black, so I really don't know how Hobbymaster made that mistake. But like I said earlier, I love this model. It's great, but it is far from perfect. And also something I just noticed, the quality control on this one was decent, but it wasn't perfect because it's got this major glue thing right here, like glue patch right here that leaked onto the paint, and that it really doesn't look good, especially being white on a dark surface. That's not right. And there's also a paint chip in the canopy up here. If the camera would focus, that'd be great. But yeah, there's a paint chip right here. Some of the black paint is chipped, exposing the clear plastic underneath. So yeah, quality wasn't great, but still, I love this model, and more importantly, I really love what it means in my collection. The next model is something truly special. Its release was highly exclusive, making this model extremely difficult to obtain. The quality of the model itself is unmatched by today's model manufacturers. The significance of this model's real-life counterpart cannot be understated. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Her Majesty, the Queen of the Skies. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the KJ model 1:200 scale replica of the first Boeing 747 ever produced. This is something truly special. I posted a review of this model a few months ago, and even after making this review, I'm still impressed by the sheer quality of this model. I cannot understate how good of a model aircraft this is. And I have to handle this thing very carefully because I don't want to mess it up. It's that valuable that I'm very hesitant to even lift it off of the ground. It means that much to me in my collection, and well, the diecast collecting community in general, it is very significant. Now, in my review, I pointed out how this model was very detailed, and I'll just give you a good idea as to the detail featured on this model. Take a look at all of the logos of the different airlines that placed orders for the Boeing 747 here on the fuselage. Those logos are really nicely detailed. On the engines themselves, you can see Pratt & Whitney logos there, which look fantastic. And these are incredibly small, so it's even cooler that KJ Wings was able to get this on a 1:200 scale model. This model is very rare, like I mentioned earlier. Less than 200 of these were produced, and that is a very low number for a die-cast model airplane release. On top of that, from what I've been told, this model was reserved exclusively for the Asian market. So for a collector like me based in the United States, it's extremely lucky for me to have this model. And I wish to express my sincerest gratitude to Mr. Mustardman, who made it possible for me to obtain this model and have such a significant aircraft in my fleet. This is definitely one of my favorite models in my 1 to 200 scale collection, and I can confidently say I will never let this one go. This one is just too valuable and too amazing for me to let go. So I'm very glad and very lucky to have this model. The third set of models for this unboxing comes in from Jet Collector once again. It arrived on May 25th, containing 5 1 to 400 scale models and one singular 1 to 200 scale model. Now, this order in particular is one that has quite the storyline to it. I placed it originally in September of 2023, and I received one model from this order in November of 2023. I actually featured it in Massive Unboxing 4. That model was the In-Flight 200 1 to 200 scale NASA SOFIA 747 SP. The rest of the order was delayed because of the two 767-400 models made by Panda Model. Once it finally shipped out in May of 2024, it was delayed again because USPS actually lost the package. Miraculously, they recovered it and delivered it to me quite quickly afterwards, but that delay sent me into a frenzy because USPS has recently become incredibly unreliable with packages and mail in general. They've lost packages and lost mail, and they're not held accountable for it. If anything, if there's a package that you order and they lose it, they actually end up selling it for an auction and they pocket the profits. So they profit off of your loss, and there's nothing that is done to hold them accountable. USPS has lost 3 of my packages in the first half of 2024, 2 of which I was able to recover. One, which thankfully didn't contain things that were too sensitive, they lost for good, and they didn't bother to offer any sort of compensation. And when I asked about what happened, they just said, "Oh, we lost it, tough luck." So when ordering from USPS, please exercise caution and know that your package may not arrive to its intended destination. The models I'm sure you guys are most eager for are these 1 to 400 scale 767-400s from Panda. Now, Panda, they take their sweet time to get the models out of their factory and into our collections, which I can respect. I always do appreciate a longer wait when it comes to ensuring quality. Not that quality was perfect, but the quality was pretty good. This United one in particular, I posted a review about, and to my knowledge, Panda Model has the best 1 to 400 scale 767-400 mold, far outclassing the joke that Gemini has to offer. And I believe it is better than the NG version as well, so I'm very lucky to have the United and Delta models because these are sold out. They were sold out before they even hit retailers' shelves. The number of pre-orders was so high that I guess most retailers didn't have any to spare. So I'm very grateful for these, and these models are impressive, and they're definitely worth waiting for. The detail on them is amazing, and you can tell this mold is new. Here's the Delta one. This one really hasn't gotten any camera time, so I'm going to give some well-deserved camera time. Like the United one, this one is really rare, and the quality on it was pretty good. The only issue I noticed with mine was it had a tire that was broken, which I quickly fixed, and that was the end of that. But yeah, these Panda Model 767-400s, they are something. Now, something I read on yesterday's Airlines, actually. Where is my pointer at? There we go. Something I read on yesterday's Airlines was that the Panda Model is the only one with accurate main gear door covers, which it's a small detail, but for those of us who are very picky about detail, such as myself, it's preferable that a model manufacturer gets it right. Next up, we got more bananas. This is a 1 to 400 scale Spirit Airlines A320 from NG model. Now, I already have a 1 to 400 Spirit A320 with the fence tip wingtips. The reason I got this one is a difference in the configuration. You see, this one is the newer Bearfare livery from Spirit, which isn't the Bearfare livery at all. The reason I say that is because the home of the Bearfare titles on the engines are removed. And this is a completely new livery one because the Spirit title here on the fuselage and the vertical stabilizer, it doesn't have any scratches on it like the older ones did. And I will demonstrate what the old one looks like actually on an A320. This is the other one that I was going to feature. It's also from NG, and this one actually has sharklets. So I'll hold these two models side by side, and hopefully you guys can see the difference. But the one on the left is the newer Spirit yellow livery. And you can see it's just got the plain Spirit title. The one on the right is the older Spirit yellow livery, and it's got the scratches in the logo and the home of the Bearfair titles on the engines. So that's why I got this one, because I had another A320 from Panda model that was in this livery, so I got this one to have an updated version. And I actually featured that Panda model in Massive Unboxing 1. Now, back to these models. This model is quite nice, the quality on it is pretty decent, as expected from NG, and I'm glad to have it. It's nothing special, but it's a banana, and more bananas in my collection, the better. Now this one, it's an A320 with sharklets, but this one isn't perfect. The reason I say that is because the placement of the sat dome was rather strange. Here, if you look at the sat dome, first of all, you can see where it was cut from the sprue, which that wasn't nice to see. It's lopsided and tilted off to the side, which is definitely not accurate. There's something poking out from underneath there as well. The printing for these little, I'm not sure what these antennas are, but the printing for them is covered by the sat dome, so that sucks. And then there's some sort of paint glob, or I think this might even be a dried glue piece. Right here you can see it. That got stuck on the fuselage, so the assembly quality with this one wasn't perfect, at least for the aerial details. With the rest of the model, it's fine. So I'm barely willing to put up with it, but it's something that's definitely going to mess with me. The last 1-400 model from this Jet Collector set is this Delta A319. This is pretty good. There's nothing I can really complain about right away. I'm glad I have it, because I know that Gemini Jets released their own version, and we all know that the Gemini version has huge engines. I'm not even kidding when I say this. The Gemini 1-400 scale CFM engines for the A320 family, the cowlings are bigger than the cowlings of a 767 engine on that mold. So that is terrible. So I'm glad that NG also released their own version of the Delta A319 right when Gemini did theirs. Or I think NG did it first and Gemini released it shortly after. So I'm very glad I have the NG version as opposed to the Gemini one. Now for the singular 1-200 model from this set, this In-Flight 200 United A321neo requires some minor assembly. So here it is, the In-Flight 200 United Airlines Airbus A321neo. If you pay close attention to detail, and you've seen my previous Massive Unboxing episodes, you probably remember that I featured this model in Massive Unboxing 5. So why am I bringing it up in Massive Unboxing 6? Well, this is a different model. The one I featured in Massive Unboxing 5, I ordered in February of 2024 from DG Pilot, and I got my hands on it in April of 2024. This one I ordered in September of 2023 from Jet Collector, and as explained earlier, this order was significantly delayed due to the Panda Model 767s, so I didn't get my hands on it until late May of 2024. So yes, they're different models. Don't believe me? Here they are, side by side. The one on the left is the one featured in today's Massive Unboxing 6, and the one on the right is the one I ordered from DG Pilot featured in Massive Unboxing 5, as well as my Model Airplane Showdown episode where I faced this one up against the Gemini 200 version of the United A321neo. So thanks for being here, but see you later. This one is far from perfect, just like the one from DG Pilot. Now, the reason I say far from perfect is because it's got a lot of imperfections, but they're pretty small. So the imperfections I'm talking about are the scratches here on the cockpit windows, a dent here on the fuselage, paint splotches, or what am I looking at? Paint spattering is the term I was looking for. On the engine exhaust right here, you can see a bunch of drops of dark gray paint out here. That wasn't cool to see. And then also, I think there was a significant issue on the other side somewhere. The printing of the door details. One, you can tell that this part is not really aligned with the door, and two, it's not even fully printed. It's really chipped right here. So yeah, this model is far from perfect. Now in terms of which one I'm going to keep the one I featured in Massive Unboxing 5. The reason for that is because that particular model was with me during the April 8th, 2024 total solar eclipse, so it has that value in my collection and that value to me. So this one I am going to get rid of and sell. Also forgot to mention this. Look at this scratch right here. It's a really nasty scratch on the underside of the right wing. And also we got another stain here on the bottom of the fuselage. So yeah, this one, quality wasn't really perfect on it. I think I can clean these off though, so we'll see. The next set of models is a trio of 1 to 400 scale models from NG Model. These three arrived on June 13th from Diecast Airplane Store. Here is the Blue Yorker, a JetBlue Airways Airbus A320 in the new livery. And I'm not kidding, they actually named this aircraft Blue Yorker. If the camera would focus, that would be excellent. See, every time I want the camera to focus, it doesn't, and then when it starts focusing, it's when I don't want it to. There we go. So you can see the title right there on the fuselage. It says Blue Yorker. So this is one of the first, if not the first, Airbus A320 that JetBlue has that they painted in their new livery. And their new livery finally lets JetBlue live up to their name. Their plane is almost entirely blue. Now, initially, I didn't like the new livery, but it's really grown on me, and I have come to really appreciate it, and it's one of my favorite airline liveries now. So, yeah, they did a great job on it. With regards to the model itself, I posted a review about this one already, and it's pretty solid. I definitely recommend it to other collectors, and I'm very glad that I have this one. The next one is another JetBlue model. This time it's an A321, also from NG, as I mentioned earlier. And this one, they call it Knock Knock Blues There. I also posted a review in which I did an introduction where I said that quote to start the video, which was quite interesting. It's not what I usually do in my reviews. But this is also a really nice model, and I have the first JetBlue aircraft that was painted in the new livery. It's an A321 that was painted in the mint livery. NG released it in 2023, sometime in 2023. I think it was in August. Yeah, August of 2023. I also featured it in the review I did of this specific one. So these two JetBlue planes in the new livery, they go pretty well with that one that I got in 2023. So I'm very glad that the fleet of JetBlue is rapidly expanding. Let's write away all that confusion that I just blurted out from the JetBlues with this flying pencil. This is one of the first models from NG Model on their new 1 to 400 scale 757-300 mold, and it's alright, it's decent. It's far from perfect though. I bashed this one pretty hard in one of my Model Airplane Showdowns videos that I posted recently, and yeah, it could have been so much better. It's just the assembly quality really wasn't great. What I mean by that is that the wings are assembled asymmetrically, so like one of them is bent higher than the other, and that's something that really doesn't sit well with me. So that was kind of annoying to deal with, but it's got potential. The mold has potential, it's just the quality from NG that really messed it up. Well, not really messed it up, but messed it up enough for me to notice and make a big deal out of it. The next two models are 1 to 400 scale models from Gemini Jets. Now, these are from separate acquisitions. However, I bought them from the same place at almost the same time, just a few weeks apart, so I'm just going to discuss both of them at the same time. The first Gemini model I got, both of these, by the way, came from Greyland Station. So the first one I got was on June 22nd, and it's this 1 to 400 scale model of the Southwest Airlines 737 MAX 8, painted in the... How do you say that? Okay, here, I'm going to Google this off of the camera. Imua, I don't know how you say that. Pronunciation. Let's see. Imua, that's how you say it. Imua, I think. I don't know, I'm probably butchering it. But this is a new Southwest Airlines special livery, and it commemorates the state of Hawaii. Even though it's not called Hawaii 1, which breaks the tradition of Southwest Airlines state liveries, it still is pretty cool. Initially, I did not like it at all, and I made the mistake of not buying the NG version, which I kind of regret, but I have the Gemini version. Now, the Gemini 1 to 400 scale 737 MAX family mold is actually quite good. I'm pretty sure it could give NG a serious run for their money when they go up against each other in a competition, which I will do in a few weeks, by the way. What sets the two apart is quality. Not as much anymore these days, but NG typically has better assembly and paint quality than the Gemini models, but this one is certainly a good model. That's why I'm actually happy to have it. I'm glad I have a Gemini model, because nowadays I'm getting mostly NG models, and, well, I'm kind of straying away from die-cast airliners, but I'm getting mostly NG models, and it's nice to get a new Gemini model for a change that I intend on keeping, so that's very nice. And this model is pretty nicely detailed. The colors look good, the livery looks great, and I'm very glad that I have this one in my collection. This next one I got on the 4th of July, also from Greyland Station, as mentioned earlier. And this one, I didn't intend on getting, but I got it because it's a good-looking plane. It's the ITA Airways Airbus A330-900neo. It is 900, but yeah, it's 900 because I know the 800 doesn't sell very well. So normally I wouldn't get this model, but I thought it looked really cool, so I got it. Now the quality on this one wasn't great because I found several of them with gears that wouldn't roll, broken landing gear actually, and super high wing flex. But this one was all right from a glance at least. It looks pretty decent, so I'm glad I have it. Other manufacturers, to my knowledge, have made this model as well, but not to the same accuracy in terms of mold and paint as Gemini jets. So that's why I got the Gemini version. And I think this would be a very nice complement to the A350 that I have from Aviation 400 that I bought in the summer of last year, right around a year ago at this point. I posted a review of that one as well if you want to check that out on my channel. The next two models are 1/72 scale military aircraft. Technically speaking, one of them isn't exactly military, but close enough. Both of these require minor assembly. Here's the first of the 1/72 scale jets. Both of them came in from the Flying Mule, by the way. This is a NASA T-38 from Hobbymaster. It was part of the March 2024 release set. I was really excited when they released this one because, well, I love T-38s, I love NASA stuff, and I love NASA's T-38s. They look really cool, and I mean, they're an icon associated with spaceflight and NASA, so you can't go wrong with one of these. Except Hobbymaster figured out a way to do this. In the review I posted of this a few weeks back, I pointed out an issue with the blue line that goes along the fuselage. You can see the blue line that traverses the entirety of the aircraft's body. As it goes from the fuselage to the engine intake, the blue line should stay centered and aligned, but this is obviously not the case, as you can see. The blue line should be should be centered along the intake's body as opposed to up on the top here. So I'm not sure why Hobbymaster did that. It's not recognizable from a distance, but once you see it, you can't really unsee it. So for everyone I just ruined this model for, I'm terribly sorry. Next up, this FA-18 Super Hornet. The reason I have this model is because it looks really cool and I love the FA-18 Super Hornet. The other reason I have it is because I actually saw a different FA-18 from the same squadron at the Purdue Aviation Day event I referred to when I was talking about the 1/72 scale A-10 earlier. Now let me explain the significance this FA-18 has in the US Navy. The reason it looks so cool and it's painted in this camouflage paint scheme is because it serves a role that is known as an aggressor or adversary aircraft. And what that means is that an instructor who studies threat nation aerial tactics will jump into this plane and fly against US naval aviators to train them to deal with threat nation aircraft. And this aircraft specifically is designed to emulate a Russian aircraft. I'm not sure which aircraft exactly that would be, but it's a Russian aircraft. And the reason we know this is because it has the Russian red star on the vertical stabilizer. If it would show, that would be excellent. Geez, my camera never focuses when I need it to, I swear. There you go. So you can see the big Russian red star on the vertical stabilizer. Of course, this aircraft has US Navy markings. You can see right here the Navy title and the bureau number, as well as the US Air Force and US Navy roundel right there. But that's the role that this aircraft serves. And I find that pretty interesting that both the US Air Force and US Navy have active training programs like that to make sure that their pilots are qualified to deal with whatever threats they have. And I mean, this is just a really cool looking airplane. Now, the plane I saw, the FA-18 I saw at Purdue Aviation Day, was one number off of this aircraft. And what I mean by that is that you can see that this aircraft has 03 on the nose and vertical stabilizer. It is known as Red 03 or Red 03. The one I saw was Red 04, and it didn't have a snazzy paint job like this one does, but it was still cool to see it nonetheless. So unfortunately I couldn't see this one in person, but I still got to see an FA-18E from VFC-12 in person. The 21st and final model to unbox for today is this Amerijet International Cargo Boeing 767-300 freighter. This model requires minor assembly. Here it is. Now, this model is made by Inflight 200 for El Aviador models. I pointed this out in my review that I made of this model as well. It's a pretty solid model in my opinion. It's far from perfect, as expected from Inflight 200, but it's still pretty good for an Inflight 200 model. Now, the only reason I have this model is because I bought this from Flyman Models here in Illinois. I was visiting the store and I saw it and I inspected it and I thought it was really good. And the rest is history. And I think it's a really good looking airplane. The 767-300 has always been a favorite of mine, and the Amerijet livery looks pretty solid too, and I felt like I needed another freighter, so here it is. Now it's time for honorable mentions, starting with this massive 1/72 scale model of the Space Shuttle Atlantis. You guys have actually seen this one before. I featured it also as a special mention in Massive Unboxing 4. Although at the time it was only a fuselage and it was still under construction. But here it is, fully completed, this giant space shuttle orbiter. This is the 1/72 scale Revell kit, and this kit is no stranger to this channel. I've actually built 3 of these, counting this one. The first one I did was in May and June of 2023. That was a replica of the Space Shuttle Columbia. It never made it to a Massive Unboxing episode. The second one was a replica of the Space Shuttle Challenger, built that in July of 2023, and it never made it to a Massive Unboxing either because I actually sold that one to a customer. And this is the third one. It's made it into 2 Massive Unboxings. Massive Unboxing 4 when it was under construction, and today fully completed in Massive Unboxing 6. Very proud of this one. It's far from perfect, but it's definitely an improvement from the first one that I built in May and June of 2023. So improvement is always what I'm looking for. Here is special mention number 2. It's a 1/200 scale model of the Space Launch System as it was for mission Artemis 1. Now, I built this throughout June and some of July of this year. I finished it in the second week of July. It took me a while. It was quite a pain. I detail my experience in my review of this kit, but overall I'm very proud of the way this one turned out, and I think it looks pretty cool. And it's a nice addition to my 1/200 scale collection. So that's pretty cool. And it also sits very well next to my 1/200 scale Saturn V model, also from AMT, that I built in January of 2023. So that was pretty nice that I was able to get both of America's moon rockets in the same scale from the same manufacturer. Now for the final segment of Massive Unboxing 6, the accessories. The accessories for today include 3 keychains and a 30mm bullet. Yes, you heard correctly. This is a 30mm bullet. This is the same kind of bullet that would be fired from the cannon of the A-10 Thunderbolt II. It's bigger than a beer can, which is what is used to compare the size of it. So it's a pretty big projectile. So imagine this coming at you and hundreds of them coming at you from an A-10. That would be pretty scary. Now, I got this at Purdue Aviation Day because the A-10 Thunderbolt II demonstration team was selling these as merchandise. Now, I assume this is inert. The reason I say I assume is because if you listen to it, when I give it a little shake, you can hear the sound of powder in there. Now, I'm pretty sure that's sand, but there's that 1 in a million chance that it isn't sand and it's something a little bit more explosive, if you will. So I gotta handle this thing very carefully. So this is the one piece of merch that I got from the A-10 demo team at Purdue Aviation Day. The other one is this keychain right here. This keychain, it has the A-10 demo team, well, one of the A-10 demo team logos right here. This looks pretty cool. I just strapped this one to my bag because I collect keychains and I think they look pretty cool. So there's that. And it's a remove before flight tag, so that's pretty nice as well. The other 2 keychains aren't as exciting, but they still are pretty cool. They're from Top Gun Maverick. This one is from Maverick's personal FA-18. It's pretty nice. It's a custom keychain from Precision Flight Helmets. I'm not sure if there's any of these in stock anymore, but I will leave a link in the description if there is. But yeah, here it is. Pete Mitchell's personal FA-18, or better, Maverick's personal FA-18. And on the other side, it has one of my favorite quotes from the movie, "Don't think, just do." Pretty cool in my opinion. Now the last accessory for today is this Darkstar keychain, also from Top Gun Maverick. Here you can see the Darkstar logo with the Darkstar plane side profile there. And on the other side we have the Lockheed Martin logo and the Darkstar patch logo that was worn by the engineers who were monitoring the Darkstar as it flew in the movie. And also on the right side is the Skunkworks logo. And at the end of this keychain is a miniature 3D printed Darkstar model, which is quite cool. That's all for today, folks. This brings an end to Massive Unboxing 6. Thank you all for watching till the end. This was one crazy massive unboxing. Lots of different models to talk about, and I was able to talk about every single one. So I'm very happy that we were able to get that done today. As mentioned before, a handful of these models already have reviews that I've made of them on my channel, so feel free to check out my channel for model airplane reviews and my other massive unboxing episodes. This is actually the final massive unboxing episode I have planned for a while. I'm not quite sure when the next one will be, but it will definitely take a long time to show up, so I'm very glad that I was able to finish this one off with this impressive set of models. This is by far the most diverse and different set of models that I've done in a massive unboxing so far. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. Like this video, feel free to comment your thoughts, and subscribe so you never miss another video from me. Happy building, happy collecting, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.